All right, thank y'all for being here today. Again, my name is Sheriff Carter Weaver. I'm the Sheriff of Georgetown County. I have with me today Solicitor Jimmy Richardson of the 15th Judicial Circuit, and I have members of my Criminal Investigative Division and members of the command staff. Again, thank y'all for being here today. And the purpose of this press conference is just to establish the role of a sheriff's office in the protection of children is more than just enforcing the law. It is preserving the future of this community and our community. Children cannot always protect themselves or advocate for their own safety. Law enforcement serves as the community's guardian in ensuring that those who prey upon or endanger children are identified, investigated, and brought to justice, while connecting young victims with the services they need to heal. I vowed to you last week to investigate this case and hold accountable anyone who fails the norms set by society through violations of the law, and that is what we're doing. Allow me to go back and give you a brief historical review of what our initial findings were in this case. Pawleys Island Community Church and Pawleys Island Christian Academy is a church and a school by license and definition located at 10304 Ocean Highway in the unincorporated area of Georgetown County, also in the Pawleys Island area of South Carolina. Warren Perry, the convicted sex offender, provided services there as a custodian. A concerned citizen made everyone aware of his activities being around children at Pawleys Island Christian Academy after she viewed Mr. Perry on the sex offender registry. At that point, he is a known sex offender and was found to be in close proximity of children at the Pawleys Island Christian Academy. This information was brought to our attention, and we verbally interviewed church officials last Sunday, July 12th. At that time, the church leadership stated that Warren Perry did volunteer at the church 7 days a week, and the church has taken measures to ensure that he is not allowed around children. Again, that was last Sunday when we received the initial complaint from a concerned citizen that Warren Perry was in fact around children at the Pawleys Island Christian Academy. Information was later obtained that that statement given to us by church leadership was simply not true. And my office contacted P, Probation, Pardon, and Parole, to see the status of Perry, who is currently being supervised by their office here in Georgetown County. That occurred on the morning of July the 13th, the next business day after our initial contact with the church. P conducted an interview and determined that Warren Perry was in fact in violation of his probation and subsequently arrested. Let me give you some history on Warren Perry. He resides at 4273 Santolino Way here in Georgetown County. He was charged by the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office in August of 2020 for sexual exploitation of a minor, 2 counts. The case was disposed of in November 29th of 2023, where he was found guilty of 1 count, and the second was subsequently dismissed by the solicitor's office. He was ordered at that time not to have contact with minors, where he was placed on a 10-year sentence, suspended to 5 years probation. So again, he was arrested by my agency in August of 20. The case was disposed of in November of 2023, and then our investigation shows us that he became employed, or what one could simply or reasonably conclude as employment, at the Pawleys Island Christian Church and the Pawleys Island Christian Academy, Pawleys Island Community Church and Pawleys Island Christian Academy shortly after his arrest in 2020. Not after his disposition in 23, but he came to what anybody would call employed in 2020 after his arrest, his role being that of maintenance. Now let's go over the role of other folks involved in this case. Don Williams. Don Williams is the past pastor and owner-operator of Pawleys Island Community Church and Pawleys Island Christian Academy. Jenny Williams is the wife to Pastor Don Williams. She is also found in the hierarchy line of decision-making, not only for the church, but the school, and she's paid by the church for her services daily. Nikki Howard. She is director of the Pawleys Island Christian Academy. Our investigation began last week in statements from teachers, parents, church members, and officials associated with the church and PICA, Pawleys Island Christian Academy. A review of records obtained through search warrants. That's been done since last week. A review of recorded statements given by then pastor last Tuesday after Warren's role at the school was challenged. So last Tuesday, once Mr. Warren's role was being challenged by my agency and Triple P, Mr. Williams was interviewed on tape, and I would like to play you that tape now that happened at Triple P here in Georgetown.
Hi. So we are taking him into custody.
Excuse me?
Yeah, we're taking him into custody because of the complaints and the information that we've received between yesterday and today. He will go to bond court.
What complaints have you received that he was in violation of his?
He's had contact with minors. He's not allowed to have contact with minors.
Okay, define contact with minors.
Going in classrooms, like he can't be in the same room with minors.
Okay, if he ever was, he always left. I mean, he was not going into classrooms with minors.
Right. So he'll go to an administrative hearing on July 29th, and I'm pretty positive he wants you to be present to speak on his behalf. Because it's been brought to our attention, not only by the sheriff's office, but by some community members. We had to address it today. So he's going to go to the jail. He'll go to bond court. He'll get a bond. He can get out. And then he just can't return back to the property of the church. He's going to attend via computer, though.
You see the astonishment on Don Williams' face, the curiosity on Don Williams' face? Warren Perry's not around children. Warren Perry's not around children at Pawleys Island Christian Academy. How could anyone ever say that? These photos right here, along with numerous others, clearly show Mr. Perry in close proximity to the children. And who do you think allowed that? This is sickening in and of itself, coupled with the video of just, I don't know what you're talking about. This recklessness as exhibited in the video and lack of responsibility in the church's role to ensure a convicted sex offender is not allowed around minor children allowed for investigators to discover an abundance of evidence through sworn statements and search warrants. To conclude the following: that Don Williams, Jenny Williams, Nikki Howard, and Warren Perry all colluded to knowingly and willfully placing our children in harm's way. Our findings to date have led to the following criminal charges. Donald James Williams, obstruction of justice. Donald James Williams, unlawfully place a child at risk or cause harm or willfully abandon the child. Donald James Williams, conspiracy, criminal conspiracy, common law conspiracy defined. Jenny Lee Williams, conspiracy, criminal conspiracy, common law conspiracy defined. Obstructing justice. Jennifer Nicole Howard, obstructing justice. Conspiracy, criminal conspiracy, common law conspiracy defined. And the unlawfully place a child at risk of or cause harm or willfully abandon the child. And here's Mr. Perry again. Warren Spencer Perry, obstructing justice. conspiracy, criminal conspiracy, common law conspiracy defined. All that information will be given to the media for your dissemination. Where do we go from here? Investigation still underway. We have the daunting task to do any forensic interviews with children who may have had some kind of personal contact with Warren Perry. That's still being investigated. That's still being determined. We're assessing statements. We have an abundance of them as far as the behavior of these individuals I just named and other elders at the church. We're assessing records that have been obtained. Yes, you saw us at the church Sunday physically on the search warrant. Search warrant started last Friday. We have to do forensic search of all digital devices, whether that be at the church or whether that be at the persons that are being arrested as we speak. And then we've got to assess the roles of the proclaimed elders in a church and apply their behaviors to the law. Finally, hold any and all accountable for this reckless disregard for the safety of our children. At this point, I want to introduce Solicitor Jimmy Richardson and let him speak to this case and his guidance on any charges or any thoughts that he has with these charges. Jimmy.
Thank you, Sheriff. Sheriff, and we talked for just a minute before I came out here. All of this work has been done by the Sheriff's Office, Triple P, all of those guys working together. So he is a lot more in tune with the situation than I've been. We've been on the phone constantly or having people over here. But I just wanted to say to the community that the Sheriff's Office has just worked diligently. As soon as the complaint came in, they have worked all last week, all through the weekend, put their full effort into this, trying to reach the justice, numerous interviews, numerous search warrants. And this is just the beginning of the work. I mean, it's nowhere near over. The investigation's still got to be digested. But I've had so many calls from people, and I've said, you're in good hands. Carter Weaver and his group is on it, and they have been, and we've sent people over to, it is, I think all of this really has been a shared responsibility, and as tough as it may have looked, it has worked out. I know the sheriff has taken on a lot of responsibility for protecting children, and he should. But it's all of our responsibility, not just prosecutors and sheriff's offices and state agencies. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the community. That is also their duty. We all have to protect these children. And the community is how we first became aware that there was a problem. So everything is trending the way it's supposed to. I don't know where they're at. I know these are warrants that Sheriff Weaver has read. I don't know who's in custody, but those are significant warrants that have come down because of this investigation, and the investigation continues. I'll end by saying, obviously, like I tell each of you individually, an arrest warrant is just that. It is based on probable cause. Obviously, when all of that is over and those charges are sent to our office, we'll do our very best to make sure that we represent the community in shepherding these cases toward an ultimate conclusion. But right now, every defendant that's been named is innocent until proven guilty, and it'll be incumbent upon us to take that robe of innocence off either through a plea or through a trial. But as it stands today, they're innocent until proven guilty. And I would be remiss without thanking the community for their help in bringing this to light, and the Sheriff's Office and Triple P and everybody that played a part in this investigation. I told Sheriff Weaver earlier, at the end of last week, I got a call from our Attorney General, who was also asking and pledging whatever help that he could put available. And this investigation may very well need some of those specifics. But up until this point, the Sheriff's Office has done a tremendous job and working countless hours. So hats off to these guys. And I'll turn it back over to Sheriff Weaver, and thank you guys for covering it.
Does anybody have any questions?
A lot of people